Future Readiness, an approach for institutions. And the speaker of this session is Madam Sharbari Purkayastha, founder and CEO of Big Impact Consulting Group.
I am Sharbari. As you can see, my name is up there, and I have founded a company called Big Impact Consulting Group, and we can talk about that later. Right now, I would like to talk to you about my topic, Future Readiness, an approach for institutions. I know we've been using the term future readiness a lot, probably in this room also today, right? So let's first try to understand what the term future ready even means. So, different people will put a different meaning on this term, future ready. For the purposes of today's talk, I have defined future readiness as the likelihood of coping in a world unknown today. We don't know, right? We don't know what is coming. Now, a funny thing about the future or about unknown world, future world, is that we all seem to think that the world is going to go in one direction, up. Better technology, more food, better health, etc. Everything looking better and shinier, right? But it could equally go in the other direction, right? I mean, we just don't know. So we're not really sure whether the future is going to be utopia or dystopia. But what we can probably say with some certainty is that irrespective of the two scenarios, utopia or dystopia, there are some things that all of us will still think is relevant, which are, we will all still need to survive, we will want to thrive, and we will want to be happy, right? Now, if we want to survive, thrive, and be happy, what does it take to survive, thrive, be happy in a world that is changing? Now, it could have changed to utopia, it could have changed to dystopia. What will it take? So does it take characteristics or attributes such as curiosity, adaptability, openness? There could be any number of words that we use as a list in 21st century skills, right? What is it? What are those competencies or abilities that separate people? Why do some people become world citizens, successful leaders, whereas other people struggle? To find out, I looked into some research into the areas of skills and learning. And my first port of call was World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs report. I think many of you will have seen this kind of a report in the past, where they're talking about some jobs coming in, some jobs going out. And in order for people to be successful in these new jobs that are coming in, they had identified a list of top 10 skills. And this was sometime in 2015, where they were predicting the skills required for 2020. Now, the top three of them were the 3 C's: complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity. But this is very specific to the world of work. And our lives go well beyond the world of work, right? There's more to life than just the workplace. So will this be enough? What will it take? Certainly, John Mahaffey, a futurist, also feels like me that we'll need to look or dig deeper into life itself or the capabilities required for life itself. And he says the following: let's not allow deeper education to yield to the shorter term needs of the workplace. Meaning, look beyond the workplace. What else do we need to prepare for? And he cites these 9 skills. The top 3 being love of learning, skill at learning, and self-knowledge. Quite different from the 3 C's that we looked at earlier. If you look at all the 9 boxes, yes, there are similarities, but then you will find that they are taking you, these skills, this list of skills is taking you into more preparedness for a broader set or a broader world in the future. Keeping these 9 skills, I also looked at some social research, further dived into social research, and I was thinking, what are those environmental triggers? Are there some things in our environment as we are growing up or as we are succeeding or not succeeding that help us to prepare better? And I discovered these 6 environmental triggers, and these are all researched, and the part of, I can share the research offline also with you. 6 environmental triggers being scarcity, forced sharing, dependence, societal norms, cultural norms, society's expectations of you. These seem to define characteristics for us to succeed or to survive or to thrive in a changed world, in changed environments. So now the question in my mind arises, what does a model or an institution look like that uses these 2, the 9 skills and the 6 environmental triggers, like a crucible or like a formula, if you will, and takes it to the next level, actually implements it? What would that sort of a model look like? I started with the 3 days of a typical education and institution, which is like the academics, operations, and business, the core mechanics, the engine that runs an educational institution. And I will share with you what each of these can possibly do. These are only samples, only suggestions. There's so much that each arm can possibly do. I will begin with operations. 3 things here. Can operations enable a makerspace? Again, we've talked a lot about makerspace, but here I'm talking about actually making an aeroplane that flies. A house that can house 10 people can be reassembled, picked up from here, put somewhere else. Remote learning infrastructure, where students can actually learn maybe 2 days a week off campus, from home or from any other place or a city center. Flexible spaces, for example, a small stadium, maybe this size of this hall, which can just be kind of remodeled in a couple of hours or 4 hours into something else, some other space, a maker space, for example. And you will see that the attributes of flexibility, reuse, self-reliance, and minimum wastage would be encouraged through a model such as this, right? The environment that we are trying to develop here is one of challenge, scarcity, and community, working together, solving problems together. In similar vein, can academics allow, through their pedagogy itself, their students to wear different hats, leadership and followership, creativity and scavenging, innovation and reuse? So variety of approaches. Can you encourage the students to reflect and solve problems, reflect on themselves, reflect on the society around them? Can we help students to really look deeply into improvement and quality and be proud of what they produce and their institution and their companies and their lives produce, the outcomes of their lives? And the attributes here, therefore, that we would likely develop are respect for difference through wearing different hats and by experiencing those differences, finding one's own mojo, being proud of who you are, understanding your strengths, pragmatism, and in an environment that develops inclusion and empathy, the human side of things, encourages a hunger for improvement and continuous learning and problem finding. By the way, it's not just about problem solving. We talk about problem solving a lot, but it's also having the ability to see something going wrong and finding it and identifying, okay, here's the problem and I need to solve it. That happens only when you do, when you learn by doing. And finally, can business, the promoters, the owners, can we have visionaries? Can they think, be thought leaders? Can they influence governmental organizations, people to actually change systems in ways that will serve future readiness, exam systems, pedagogies, for example? Can they actually influence peers, get peers and other resources on board to work with them to actually build sustainable and scalable models and still make money, right? And finally, can they embrace vulnerability? I think this is very, very core to future readiness, both on behalf of both for students and for promoters or industry owners. that, there is a degree of vulnerability, a feeling of, I don't know. It's okay to say, I don't know, and I'm going to explore and find out, because we really don't know what the future is going to be like. And with that, I would just like to exhort everyone, decide and just be the change, and probably just start a fire and take a leap of faith. If you have already done all of these things, then encourage someone else to do that as well. Thank you so much. Do we have time for questions, if any?
Future of the job we have gone through. What is your vision for planning for India? Because it covers so many countries. So in each country, the future of the job differs.
Right.
So in a way, what can be a shortcut to reach the goals?
See, I think as you rightly said, this is World Economic Forum, and India's problems are I think my colleague before me also was saying that it's such a mixed bundle, and the needs therefore are extremely varied. So I think, if you say things like develop creativity, what does it mean? I mean, I've taught in schools and I've headed academics and so on, and I don't know what it means, how to actually go into a classroom and encourage creativity, improve creativity. So, these are things that need very brass tacks approach. Where are the teachers who will actually be able to kind of build a lot of the skills that they are talking about are, very nice sounding big words, in my opinion. So that's my opinion, since you asked. So I think, there's a need to be practical, and yet there is a need to be visionary. So the trick, I feel, is in actually understanding where we need to go, but in taking those baby steps in going to that place by enabling the teachers first, by enabling the systems first. And like I said, you can't get a mini stadium this size and then turn it into a makerspace. It's expensive. So only some people will be able to do it. But then there are other ways. Like my child went to a school called Mirambika in Delhi, which is a Rishi Aurobindo-led kind of a school. They built tree houses. They didn't have to, they didn't need technology. With their teachers, they built tree houses in the tree, and they learned lots of different things through that. So there are many, many ways that we can build these skills, I feel.
India is a very different place. In that way, through Big Impact, what are the solutions you are proposing?
Okay. Thank you for asking that question, and I'm sorry if I confused anybody with my approach. My intent here is to look at the problem as a whole. And I think in my presentation, I did mention that the World Economic Forum, the cards that I showed over here, are related to the workplace skills. And I would like to see us going well beyond that. So my proposition is that we need to look at the skills and the 9 skills that I brought up later. And there are many other models also that talk about the same problem. Let us look at improving our skill base and our abilities, our capabilities, our humanity even, to be future ready beyond the workplace. That is my proposition. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.